On the agenda tonight, we're going back to 1957. We're going to be taking a look at Jerry Lee Lewis, and he's going to be performing a whole lot of shaking going on. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. First of all, thank you to all of you that have messaged requesting this video for tonight following the sad news that Jerry Lee Lewis passed away recently. We do have another video on the channel where we get into Jerry's background as well, so I'll leave a link to that in this video, probably at the top now, so you guys can check that out independently if you want to. But we are going back to 1957. We're going to be taking a look at a whole lot of shaking going on, as I said in the intro, and it's only about 2.5 minutes in length, so we're going to watch this the whole way through, and then we'll get into the analysis afterwards. But let's get into it.
By too fast, but here he is, jumping and jolting, Jerry Lee Lewis.
Come on over, baby. A whole lot of shaking going on. Yeah, come on, baby. Baby, you can't go wrong. Oh, she's thinking. A whole lot of shaking going on. Yeah, come on over, baby. We got chicken in the barn. Woo, honey. Come on over. We got food by the horn. Oh, she's thinking. A whole lot of shaking going on. Oh, shake, baby, shake. Shake, baby, shake. Shake, honey, shake. Shake, baby, shake. Come on over. Whole lot of shaking going on. Yeah, come on over, baby. We got chicken in the barn. Who's the barn? What's the barn? My barn. Come on, honey. We got a move our home. Oh, we baking. Whole lot of shaking going on. Easy now, shake. Oh, shake, baby. You can shake one time for me. Oh, come on over, baby. A whole lot of shaking going on. Now let's get real low, shake. All you gotta do, honey, kind of stand in one spot, jump around just a little bit. That's when you have black got something, you know. Now let's go. Shake! Shake! Honey, shake! Shake, baby! Shake, baby! Shake! Big bacon! Whole lot of shake! Go
And there we have it. I think the first thing to really put under the spotlight in this performance is the date, 1957, because this is one of those things that now looking at it, you would still say that it's one hell of a performance, and it is a wild performance. The way that Jerry Lee Lewis put on a show when he performed behind the piano was just like no other, and that's talking about, you know, onwards from the 60s, 70s, 80s, where people started to perform more on stage. And, you know, talking about the 50s with Elvis, there was this appreciation now that these guys, talking about Jerry and Elvis, brought to the forefront of the music industry, putting on the show and pushing the boundaries of the show. Because, like I said, even now, I mean, we've seen everything by now, you know, 2022. But back in 1957, I'm sure they hadn't seen anything anywhere close to this, because this is still such an energetic performance. And the way that, you know, Jerry stands up and puts on that show, even being locked to the piano, which is something that I mentioned in the other analysis video, that playing the piano and trying to put on a show is so difficult because you are fixed. You can't move around like you do when you have a guitar. So it means that you've got to somehow come up with something to keep the energy up. But Jerry absolutely did that, and he had obviously the move where he kicks over his chair or stool or whatever he's got for that particular performance. And I think that actually happened by accident first of all, and then he continue to do it because it got such a great reaction from the crowd. So, I mean, straight ahead rock and roll here. And back in the 50s, this was still a new thing, but it would have been, in C, I believe. The original's in C as well, so it'd be C, F, and G if you want to play along. But about this live performance, you can hear that timing-wise, first of all, the tempo's really pushed, and we will reference the original release in a second, but we've got the drums, bass and piano here, and when you've got this kind of setup, especially with the piano at the front of the stage, we've got the drummer trying to hear the piano, and the drums are a lot louder than a piano. So I can imagine when people are clapping along as well, it's understandable that you're going to struggle to hear each other because they wouldn't have had foldback here. It's just a TV show performance in the late 50s. So you can hear from the drum kit that it's not even really mic'd up. You can just about hear that snare. You will see that throughout this performance that Jerry Lee will have a quick look over to the drummer who will look back, and they're just checking in with each other just to try and match their tempo. But it's going to be very difficult to do with this setup, but also because of the tempo of the track, or should I say the live performance, because we can have a quick listen to the original as it was released, and then we'll have a listen to the same section with the live performance. As we always tend to find when we're doing analysis videos on live performances, especially when they're energetic performances as this is, they will push the tempo to get that energy into the music as well. But let's have a listen to the original.
Yeah, you can shake it one time for me. Come over, baby.
So it kind of gives us a vibe.
Whole lot of shaking going on. Easy now, shake. Oh, shake, baby. You can shake one time for me. So come on over, baby. A whole lot of shaking going on. Now let's get real low, shake. All you gotta do, honey, kind of stand in one spot.
And if you do, have a listen to that foot pedal in this section where we're just bringing things down dynamically. You can hear everybody clapping along. That foot pedal sounds like it's getting faster and faster and faster. So, I mean, good example here of the difference between a record and then hearing it live. Generally, that live performance is going to be a standalone performance as well, and that's the reason that you go and see your favourite bands and artists, because it's not going to be exactly like the record. From the performance perspective as well, just where we've frozen the video, it's a great spot to see that Jerry Lee engaged the audience, and he'd point out to them. And if we just take it back, just any shot here, look at the way that the piano is turned and Jerry is turned as well. So it means that the audience are now effectively given a doorway into the performance, because when you're looking at either the back of a piano, it means that all you can see of the artist is, generally their shoulders and their head, if you're lucky, and that's it. Whereas by arranging it like this, you can tell that Jerry Lee just has such an eye on the performance, but also the visual of the performance, because it is like opening his body up, body language to the audience, and opening the piano to the audience. So it is like a door that you're now looking into, rather than, if you imagine seeing Jerry Lee's side on and the piano side on, that's like a closed door. You can't actually get access, or body language wise it would be closed, whereas this is very much open. So it brings you into the performance, and it's just a clever way of turning the instrument that is so difficult to keep people engaged with a performance on, just changing that setup so that, I know it's going to be slightly harder to play the piano like this because you're moving away from it, and you're pretty much always going to be playing over your legs are going to be in a totally different direction, whereas when you will practice, you'll be right in front of the piano. You're not looking at the crowd who are going to be on the right-hand side. So it's having that appreciation of performance, but also keeping that technical ability there. And that's another thing about Jerry Lee Lewis. He had that technical ability at the instrument to play, sing at the same time, but also from the session work that he did as well. Just a very talented musician in his own right. But it's when you add all of this together that you get something that just elevates it to another level, especially in 1957, because you've got that appreciation of putting on a show, you've got that appreciation of engaging an audience, which is another side of things, you've got the technical ability at playing an instrument to a high level, and you've got the vocal ability. And Jerry Lee here is hitting notes, and it's important not to let that fly under the radar that he is singing, but because it's so conversational, you just get drawn into the performance when he breaks it down and starts, you know, more talking and engaging everybody with the story of the song. I say the story of the song, it's not a complicated story, but he's still just bringing you into it. All of these things were new and different and pushing the boundaries and pioneering for the music industry at the time, and it's very much opening the door and showing people how you do this, you know, that this is rock and roll. And if anything, it's just blowing the doors off what you can do and how to perform live and how to engage people and putting it to a totally different level. Because before this, you know, we're coming from jazz, really, in terms of the history of music, now into the 50s where rock and roll's taking off. It is the exact opposite. You know, you're not going to get this kind of thing happening at jazz venues, and the kind of entertainment movement and just crazy interaction that Jerry Lee Lewis brought to the table. I know that we usually focus on guitar and vocals on the channel, but an important thing to point out about the piano playing here is the approach to playing. It's something that I have pointed out about guitar players as well. Those that get into the performance and put their energy into their playing to the point where it doesn't really matter that there might be a string ringing out here or there or a wrong note here or there, because it's all about the energy of the performance. And we can definitely relate this to this performance because Jerry Lee Lewis has this kind of outrageous style of playing when he's putting on the show as well. So he's definitely not going to be, you know, playing technically perfectly, getting every single note in a pristine manner, because that's not the point. That's not the energy, and that's not the feel of rock and roll. It's very much just letting it all hang out and, you know, throwing caution to the wind and putting the energy into the performance, even if it means that you're not hitting every note particularly cleanly, but that's the point. And I would argue that that adds to the energy. But thank you guys for requesting this video for me to take a look at tonight. Looking at one of the pioneers, the trailblazers of rock and roll back in 1957. And this performance is all you need to look at to see the kind of energy that he produced live, but also just appreciating this was 1957. People had never seen anything like this before. So it was something on a totally different level. And it's great because at the end of the performance, you can see that Steve Allen comes on stage. This is from the Steve Allen Show, by the way. And he's energized. You can see that he's physically wanting to move around because whatever this new thing is, everyone just can't get enough of it. It's great as well that we can just load up performances like this at the click of a button, and if you can't get enough of particular performances, you can just keep on watching them again. And it's just amazing the technology that exists nowadays that we can actually do this and transport ourselves back to 1957 instantly. But I hope you have enjoyed this video. Like I said, thank you for the requests, and I'll catch you guys at the next one.